Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be here and have the opportunity to teach you how to achieve incredible health. I'm Dr. Joel Fuhrman. I'm a board-certified family physician, nutritional researcher, and my life's work is nutritional science. And I have a promise that you can lose weight as fast or faster than gastric bypass surgery. But unlike surgery, the results are permanent. In only 3 steps. 1, learn about the power of micronutrients. 2, eliminating food addictions. And 3, superfoods for pleasure and health. So look, what is incredible health? Let's describe it, okay? Incredible health means living your life into your later years, feeling great, being healthy, not being medically dependent, being able to walk and be mobile and not having in pain, be able to wake up every day excited about life, not going into doctors with emergencies, not having your full mental faculties intact, right? And your full physical powers that you had when you were young. We're talking about not having heart attacks and not having strokes, not getting demented, right? How many of you would like a promise that you don't have to have a heart attack when you get older? That you don't have to have a stroke? That you don't have to get demented? I don't know about you, but I don't want to be running for a bus worried about having a heart attack. I want to know that I can't have a heart attack. Am I making some incredible radical claim? Is this incredible? Am I just a total crazy guy, you know, saying that people can, isn't heart disease, isn't just the inevitable consequence of aging? Don't we just all get it as we get older? Well, you know what? Almost every person in America gets it as they get older. When we do autopsy studies on people in America, by the time they're 40 years old, if they die in a car accident or drowning, we look at their heart and we find that almost all Americans have atherosclerosis, more than 95% by the age of 45. But it doesn't have to happen to you. I'll tell you how I know this, how I know this is true. Number one, there are what's called epidemiologic studies, where they look at populations from around the world. And they find, first they look at primitive populations, eating simple, natural diets, where people don't have heart disease. Then there are studies done where we study 100,000 rural Chinese who live in rural areas, who grow a lot of their own food and eat natural diets, and they haven't found one heart attack in that group. And look at the Framingham study done in Boston, where they followed people in this country, in New England, followed them, thousands of people, followed for 40 years. And what they find? That people who had an ideal weight, who didn't smoke, whose cholesterol was below 150 with a favorable cholesterol, they didn't have heart disease. Not one heart attack death was recorded for that group who had those favorable risk factors. I can say this, as a physician, I've been in practice for 20 years, and I see patients every single day with advanced heart disease. People who've had heart attacks in their past. And you know what? These people get well, their chest pains go away, they lose the weight, their blood pressure comes back to normal, and they don't have heart disease anymore. Charlotte weighed 260 pounds. She lost 130 pounds. Now she weighs 130. That's a loss of half her body weight. But the weight loss isn't even the story here. The story is Charlotte was in a wheelchair after a stroke. She couldn't even walk. And she had diabetes requiring multiple medications. Charlotte is not diabetic anymore. She has no diabetes, and that means that her blood sugar is normal, below 100, without medication. You know, I tell my diabetic patients, let's not control your diabetes. If we're controlling it, that means you still have diabetes. We want to get rid of your diabetes. Who wants to stick themselves with needles and take drugs the rest of their life? And most of these diabetic medications cause weight gain and make you become more diabetic the more you take the medication. How many of you want to be around when you're older and in great health, so you can run around with your children and grandchildren, so you can enjoy your life in your golden years, right? Isn't that something you want? Yeah. Don't you want incredible health? Yes. The problem in America is 27% of Americans die of heart disease. About 23% die of cancer. 6% die of strokes. It doesn't have to happen. Advancements in nutritional science enable a solution, and we can put this science right in your kitchen so you can do it. Let me explain to you some of the science here and how this works. All right, a little bit about nutrients, because there are two types of nutrients. There's macronutrients and micronutrients. Now, macro means big, and macronutrients are those big nutrients, the ones that contain calories, fat, carbohydrate, and protein. You guys have heard of that, right? Yeah. Fat, carbohydrate, protein. Those are the things Americans eat too much of, too many calories. But what we don't eat enough of is the micronutrients. The micronutrients do not contain calories. Those are things like vitamins, like minerals, phytochemicals, things that don't contain calories the body needs for good health. In 1930, scientists discovered about 14 vitamins and 16 minerals. And people said, wow, this is great. We got health in a bottle here. We can add thiamine and riboflavin into Cocoa Puffs and vitamin C into Kool-Aid. We could take these things and we could win the war on cancer and stop people from dying so much. By 1935, the vitamin industry was already a billion-dollar industry. But the most fascinating thing happened in the history of nutritional science, because between 1935 and 2005, during that 70-year stretch, cancer rates went up every single year for 70 years in a row. Incredible. We saw a concomitant rise in diabetes, obesity, right? Autoimmune conditions, allergies. Boy, the diseases just were flourishing. But cancer rates, not one year did it even dip, just kept going higher and higher and higher and higher. And you know, it wasn't until about 20 years ago where scientists first recognized that vitamins and minerals were not the major micronutrient load that's in food. In other words, vitamins and minerals are a smaller percent of the total of micronutrients that are in food. The major source of micronutrients are called phytochemicals. And there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of them. And they haven't all been discovered yet. So what I'm saying here is that every strawberry has about 700 nutrients in it, not just 31. Every piece of broccoli has about 1,000 different nutrients in it. And the body needs them. They're not optional. The American diet today has 62% of calories from processed foods. 62% from processed foods. Those are foods like pasta, bread, salad oil, mayonnaise, donuts, cookies, crackers, rice cakes, breakfast bars, chips, pretzels, soft drinks. Look, we're eating foods that just give us calories. They just give us macronutrients without any micronutrient load. When we take in macronutrients with no micronutrient load, the body builds up free radicals. Those are toxic. They cause inflammation in the body. And we utilize our reserve of micronutrients to try to process those empty calories. And then more than 25% of the American diet are animal products. Animal products like meat and chicken and dairy products, they don't have antioxidants and phytochemicals in them either. Only 10% of what Americans consume are produce like fruits and vegetables. Half of that is white potato products, counted in the 10%. That means that French fries, potato chips, mashed potatoes, all that, and you know, that's half of what Americans are consuming, counting as vegetables. And white potatoes don't have much micronutrient density. They're one of the lowest nutrient-containing vegetables. We're just eating a diet that's not designed for the human species. I'm saying here that a piece of chicken is just like a piece of white bread. Or a piece of chicken is just like some pasta. Why am I saying a piece of bread and a piece of chicken are the same thing? No micronutrients. There's no significant micronutrient load. Because that's what I'm saying. I'm saying a pre-processed food, like a soft drink or a piece of white bread, right, doesn't have antioxidants like vitamin E and vitamin C and vitamin K and folate and the bioflavonoids and the lignins and all those phytochemicals that fight cancer. They're not in the processed foods. They've been processed out, right? And animal products is not a source of phytochemicals and antioxidants. It's a source of some vitamins and minerals and proteins and fats, but it doesn't give us those cancer-fighting nutrients that we're just not consuming. Both the animal product and the processed foods don't have a significant micronutrient load, so where are we getting it from, right? And I'm also saying the micronutrient deficits leads to increased body weight. It drives your appetite up, increases your hunger. It means more diabetes, more heart disease, and more cancer. The extra fat on your body drives diseases like cancer and heart disease. You want to live disease-free? You want to live longer? You want to sleep better? You want to be happier? You want to have more energy? You want to enjoy your life more? You want to maintain your fitness? You want to stop this idea of looking for a diet, right? you have to understand the secret power of micronutrients and how micronutrients take away your hunger, your desire to overeat, and they help the fat melt off your body. Consider this equation, H equals N over C, my health equation, right? Nutritional scientists all over the world are using H equals N over C, where H, health, means your healthy life expectancy. Not just how long you're going to live, but the quality of your life in your later years. And that's predicted now by N over C, N divided by C, the micronutrient per calorie density of your diet. That means how long you're going to live and the quality of your life in your later years is proportional to how many foods you can consume that have a high micronutrient load. You want them to have high micronutrients per calorie. And the more foods you consume that have lots of micronutrients per calorie, the more it suppresses your appetite, lessens your hunger, and makes you feel great. Let's look at this nutrient density line. Because what I did is I added up the vitamins and minerals, the phytochemicals, those powerful anti-cancer substances that we find in foods like mushrooms and onions and berries. Well, I added up those nutrients and put it together and had some negatives of things that are bad for you and added some negative factors so I could score food on a nutrient density line. And you could see by looking at my nutrient density line what foods have the highest level of micronutrients, so you know what foods I want you to eat more of. I want you to try to eat a lot of those foods, okay? So I'm saying here that when it comes to green vegetables don't have twice as much nutrients as, let's say, a piece of bread or a piece of chicken. They don't have 10 times as much. They have 100 times more micronutrients than those foods do. 100 times as much. You getting this? You got to get this because your life depends on it. Your life depends on understanding this information. You know why? You graduate from elementary school, junior high school, college, professional school, even medical school. And the most important thing you could have learned to control your health destiny, you don't even learn anything about, right? Let's look at mushrooms for a minute. Mushrooms contain, they're a superfood. They contain something called angiogenesis inhibitors. Ever hear of that before? No. The word angiogenesis means the growth of blood vessels. So an angiogenesis inhibitor, it means it restricts the growth of blood vessels, okay? Now, this seems counterintuitive. Why would we want to stop blood vessels from growing? But we want to stop them from growing abnormally. Because what happens is when we eat a lot of sugar, when we put fat on our body, it pumps up insulin, and insulin promotes the growth of blood vessels. And you know, fat on the body is like a tumor, and it secretes hormones and it causes inflammation. It's bad to have fat on your body. And the fat on the body signals blood vessels to grow into it, so it can be fueled, so it can get oxygen and nutrients and nourishment to keep it growing and to keep it surviving. When you eat foods like mushrooms and onions, they have angiogenesis inhibitors that inhibit the growth of the blood vessels into the fat to stop the fat from growing and to cause the fat to shrink and atrophy. Over here we have a guy, Jim. Jim is eating 2,000 calories a day. And Jim's not overweight. He's great weight. But Bob, on the other hand, who also eats 2,000 calories, is overweight. They're both eating 2,000 calories. Why is one good weight and one not a good weight? The reason is the person, it's not all calories in, calories out. The secret here is that you have to eat these nutritional factors that prevent fat from building up. And when fat builds up outside of your abdominal wall, you could pinch it, right? You could pinch the fat and press it together. It's not only outside your abdominal wall. As I'm pinching this fat, there's just as much fat inside the abdominal wall that you can't pinch. When you have that big roll of fat out here, your body's swelled on the inside, and you have fat under the abdominal wall in with your organs, surrounding your heart, squeezing your liver, your kidneys, your adrenal glands, around your pancreas. The fat is all over the inside of your body, places the fat should not be. Outside fat means inside fat, and that's what increases the risk of diabetes, of heart disease, of cancer. Sure, you want to get rid of, so you want your whole body to shrink down, right? When you do that, and when you do it while utilizing the power of micronutrients, you've got a better memory. You don't lose your memory with aging. You don't get joint pain. You don't have arthritis, headaches, allergies, asthma, skin rashes, depression. You don't have to have those things because a lot of those diseases occur because of micronutrient deficits and poor nutrition.